All right, today we're going to try and unlock the blueprint of Cameroon. And look, it's so much more than just lines on a map. You can think of it as the operating system for a nation of absolutely incredible diversity. If you want to understand Cameroon, you've got to understand this system. Just think about that for a second. You've got a country that stretches all the way from the Sahel Desert down to the Atlantic Ocean, with over 200 different ethnic groups. How on earth do you create a system that connects the capital city to the smallest, most remote village? How does Cameroon solve a puzzle like that? Here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start with the big picture, this whole 5-tier administrative framework. Then we're going to take a grand tour of all 10 regions. And finally, we'll zoom all the way in to see exactly how this system works on the ground in a single neighborhood. Okay, so first things first, the blueprint. This is the fundamental logic, the very foundation that holds the entire country's governance together. And you know, the whole entire structure really just boils down to this one simple number, 5. Cameroon is organized into a 5-level hierarchy. It's like a cascade of authority that flows from the national level all the way down to your local neighborhood. So let's break that down, right? It all starts with 10 large regions. Now, each of those regions gets broken down into divisions. There are 58 of those in total. Then those divisions are split into subdivisions, and that's where the state's direct administrative authority really kicks in. Working right alongside them, you have the councils. That's the layer of local elected government. And at the very bottom, you've got over 13,000 villages, or if you're in a city, quarters. Every single place fits into this pyramid. Okay, now that we've got the blueprint down, let's actually start our tour. We're going to begin at the very top of the map with the 3 northernmost regions, an area of really dramatic landscapes and climate. Yeah, this table gives us a really great snapshot. You've got the far north with its capital in Maroua, and it literally touches the edge of the Sahel Desert, which shapes its entire culture and economy. Right below that, the north region. That's the country's cotton belt, and its lifeblood flows right along the Benue River. And then you have Maroua, this high plateau region that plays the critical role of the water tower of Cameroon. And this quote just nails why it's so important. It's this vast, elevated plateau where so many of the country's great rivers begin their journey, either south to the forests or north to the desert. It really is the geographical and climatic bridge connecting 2 completely different worlds inside one nation. All right, let's head south now, into the political and economic heartland of Cameroon. We're talking about 3 regions that pretty much act as the country's main engines. And right here, you can really see the power centers. The center region, well, it hosts the national capital, Yaoundé, so it's the undeniable political core. Then there's the littoral region, home to Douala, the bustling economic giant and the country's largest port. And then you've got the east region, this vast expanse of rainforest that is by far the largest region in terms of just sheer size. And this slide makes a really crucial point about how Cameroon is organized. You look at the massive east region, it's rich in resources but not very populated, and it's managed with just 4 divisions. But then you look at the much smaller center region, because it contains the capital and a really dense population, it needs 10 divisions. It's a perfect example of how administrative lines are drawn based on people and power, not just on geography. Okay, for our final stop on this regional tour, we're exploring the most topographically and culturally diverse cluster of them all, the Western Highlands, the tropical southern forests, and the Atlantic coast. This group just showcases Cameroon's diversity perfectly. You have the super densely populated West region, a real hub of commerce and agriculture. Then there's the Northwest, which is famous for its rolling grasslands and powerful traditional kingdoms. The Southwest is home to the iconic volcanic Mount Cameroon. And finally, the South region, a strategic gateway that shares borders with 3 other countries. A true mosaic, really. All right, so we've seen the big picture. But now let's make this real. We're going to pick one region and follow that administrative chain all the way from the very top down to a single neighborhood. So we're going to zoom right in on the center region. I mean, as the home to the capital, Yaoundé, it's the perfect place to see how this 5-tier system actually works in a dense urban setting. So, like we saw earlier, the center region has 10 divisions. This chart shows them all, but one of them is very, very different from the others. We're going to focus on that single unique slice, the Mfoundé division. So what's the big deal? What makes it so special? Well, most divisions are these large territories with a main town that serves as the headquarters. But Mfoundé is different. The division is the city. The administrative boundary of the Mfoundé division is basically the city limits of Yaoundé. And this just beautifully illustrates the full chain. You start at the top in a center region. You go down a level to the Mfoundé division. Inside that, you've got the subdivision and council of Yaoundé I. And then, within that council, you find specific neighborhoods or quarters, like Longcock or Elijah Sono. From 10 regions all the way down to a single street, it all connects.
So look, we have gone through a lot of names, a lot of numbers, and all these levels. And it's totally fair to ask, why does any of this administrative blueprint, why is it so important? What does it actually do?
Well, it matters because this whole structure, it's like the very skeleton of the nation. It's the delivery system for literally everything, from healthcare to education. It's the official method for managing a country with immense cultural and linguistic diversity. And it helps give each of those 10 regions its own distinct identity within the larger whole. So in the end, yeah, it might just seem like a list of places on a map. But this 5-tiered system is the invisible architecture that shapes daily life for millions of people across one of Africa's most diverse nations.